Okay, here we go. This is the shoulder fracture treatment box. I think I misspoke. So Mildred would be a part one because she was non-displaced. So she's part one on the near scale. I'm not going to ask you questions on the midterm exactly which one is a near two or three or four. It's something to kind of be aware of for the board exam, but I'm not going to get into that. Generally speaking, if it's a one or a two, they have really good outcomes. Beyond that, it's not so much. So we're looking at this treatment box. Again, this is for the near one or two part fracture. Think about Mildred. If you want to apply her to this, she would be the near part one, non-displaced. So she has really good potential for a good outcome with her fracture. There's no test. Again, there's no test for a shoulder fracture. It's usually pretty obvious. They fall, a lot of pain. They go to the ER, get an X-ray, and they see the fracture. And that's when they come to you. If they haven't had that X-ray and they're talking about a lot of pain in their shoulder, grinding sensation after a fall, after a trauma, definitely want to get that checked out before you start moving that shoulder around. How do we treat it? Early on, first 4 weeks or so, get them moving. Again, that's a good thing. Be careful though with this because a lot of older folks, once they're in that sling, their balance is off and they fall a lot. They fall again. They don't want them to refracture or damage that shoulder, so be extra careful with that. Limit activities. Usually they're limited to one arm, just one arm to do ADLs. So you're teaching a lot of hemi techniques, one-handed dressing and bathing. That sling, getting that sling off and on is usually a big challenge, teaching them how to do that, teaching the family how to do that. Usually, ideally, around 2 weeks, you can start limiting how much they're wearing the sling. Ask the doc, can they take it off at night? Can they take it off for periods during the day when they're sitting and watching TV and that sort of thing? Depends on how well it's healing. It all goes by what the doctor says, but you need to advocate to get that sling off as soon as you can. Modalities early on, ice is a good thing. Right on the deltoid, on top of the deltoid where the fracture site is, ice around the clock is really, really good. Ice packs. You can do ultrasound. We'll learn about that. Pulsed ultrasound. Don't do continuous ultrasound. It'll make everything worse. Got to be really careful about that. But pulsed ultrasound is shown to facilitate the healing of the bones. It's a good thing. Exercise. You can definitely get the non-affected arm. So the fracture, the arm they didn't fracture, get that moving right off the bat. Get the parts that aren't affected moving as well. So their elbow range of motion. That elbow gets contracted really quickly. Keep that elbow moving. Their hand, you can give them some putty. You can move their hand around. The opposite shoulder, like I said. Posture, the core, the trunk. You can do some lumbar exercises that we showed. We did definitely pendulums. This tabletop activity that this guy's doing down here is a good one to do with a towel. Just real gentle, kind of horizontal, add and ab, little rotation in and out. Within pain limits, that's the key. That could be a nice little exercise. If they have a pin in it, ORIF, if they have a pin, if it's pinned because of the surgery, you can be more aggressive depending on what the doc allows. Tabletop exercises. Here's a good trunk rotation one without standing if they have balance issues. And then you can start being a little more aggressive, 3 to 6 weeks. You may start some isometric of the deltoid and the rotators. Like we said, there's atrophy that sets in right off the bat. So getting that deltoid activated any way you can with a isometric is really good. Do you remember what isometric is? It's you don't let the arm move at all. So you're holding the arm down and they're trying to lift against you. They're trying to lift it up, so they're activating the deltoid without using the joint at all. So again, isometric, activating the deltoid, not using the joint. Great exercise to work on the atrophy. Start doing some wand or cane exercises, different planes. The pulley is really good. There's an image of the pulley exercise that's very popular. once it starts to heal. This is a great exercise, a simple little thing, wall climbs. You've seen this. He's trying to get more shoulder flexion. He's just climbing up the wall. What's great about it, you can mark how far they can get with tape. Used to do this in the home all the time. So you could go in each week and say, okay, you're right here. Let's go a little bit further this week. And they can see their progress. And they can see the progress. They really get buy-in into the exercise program. With all these movements, though, really watch how they do the movements. We don't want any compensation. No hiking, kind of like shrugging their shoulder, no tilting their trunk. Just nice, pure movement as far as they can go. If they can't go any further, that's fine. But don't hike and compensate and set up all these kind of bad movement patterns. And then fully healed, 9 weeks, up to 3 months. You can still keep working with these folks. It could take up to a year, I think. I said resistance, TheraBand activities, resistance to the scapular rose, those kinetic chain exercises we talked about in the first lab. Do some 2-second stretches that we'll learn about in the lab this week 3. Those are all good things. At this point, you're more heating it up to loosen it up, and then really being aggressive with stretching and strengthening. All right, and this is all something you need to know for that midterm. That's the treatment box for the shoulder